Alright.
Listen.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. God damn, this game's so loud as shit. Ooh. Oh, I guess we ain't got no freaking bagel today. Oof. Alright, I'm gonna freaking rest because I lost sheep. Oh boy. Oh shit. Oh god. Ah. Oh, I'm already dead. Oh, I forgot I can't just go gung ho. Hello, sir. I dodged that. What? Reach. Ow. Right. Oh, shit. I can't. Shit. I forgot. Shit. What? Sorry, dodge that. What the fuck? What the fuck? Beach. Beach. Bitch, get the fuck up, you Dumbo. Boot. Can't win that. Woo. Okay. Oh, see. Oh man, bagel sheet is spooked. Oh, I got this shot down. Ooh. Beach. 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 Easy money. Oh shit! I didn't use the thing. I didn't use the thingamabob. Where'd you go? 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 God. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh yeah. Wow. Nice attack, Nick. Nice attack, Nick. Fuck you, beach. That's a waste. Oh, you do shit for that too? Fuck no, that shit's on fire. Oh, you beach. That was pretty good though. I had to keep like I can't not be on her. That's one thing I hate about this beach. You gotta constantly be attacking her sheet. So I gotta get all these other punks out of my freaking sheet, and then I got this beach on my sheet. So whoa. I wonder. Did I ever try the oil yet? Frick it, let's try the oil real quick. That's the wrong button. It's also the wrong button. What the frick button am I trying to press right now? That's what I'm trying to press. Ow. Yeah, I deserve that from that. Let's just full die because I was testing. Full die, that was sucked. Hey, what's up, Big Night? What's up, mate? We're getting fucking slapped over here. This fucking boss is fucking stupid, man. Oh, great start. Oh, traded. And I'm already almost dead. Oh god. I'm dead. Oh out. No, I'm not making this one. Oh, Jesus. Ah! Surprise, beach, I'm back. Ooh. She. The Elder Lord got this. Dude, this freaking motherfucker is hard. So, she has a big, well, freaking, what's the word? I forgot the freaking word for it. Oh, crap, what's that called? Crap, I forgot the name of it. I guess you can call it like a stagger bar. And it depletes very quickly, so you have to be on her like all the time. Yeah, that bar on top that you see. See, like, yeah, I won't attack her for a second. Okay, well, I guess it's not that quick, but close to quick. And then she also, on the left, you can see that little, ow! You can see that little, red dot. Oh, God! That means I have to, oh, God! That means I have to finish her off twice. So this is like the first phase, pretty much. I'm getting frickin' slapped. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh. And I don't have much healing right now because I used it and everything else. So I'm frickin' screwed. I forgot a strategy of just frickin' running back. That works out. For like 2 attacks, you just kind of run. No! Shit! Oh, I'm not dead. Oh, oh. Oh! Get her ass. Get her ass, get her. Ah! Okay. Alright. First phase is done. First phase is done. But now I ain't got no health. Shit. Every stream is loading stream besides this one. I hate Twitch. Oh, shit. Is this one the first boss? Actually, yeah, I think so. Now I'm gonna get freaking slopped. There's literally no way I'm winning this. But I can sure as hell try. No! Oh, God! Oh, shit. Okay, there's literally no way I'm doing this. I just gotta run around for 7 years. Oh, God. Okay. Ah! One shot. Dude, this fight's hard as fuck, man. This is the first boss. Hey, what's up, Druid? What's up, man? Oh shit, I forgot how to revive. What the fuck? Wait, what? Did I already use my revive? Oh god, I don't have many things left. Oh, gee, my guy, I went from like full to like nothing in 2 seconds. Ow. Alright. I think I need to move my, I'll move this down a little bit. So you guys can see more of my, there we go. Alright. Yeah, what's up, Druid? What's up, man? How's it going? Oh, shit, I forgot. This doesn't replenish. Oh, shit. Okay, well, I might as well buy them because I can't frickin'. What? Thank you. Oh, I forgot that doesn't. Wait, that doesn't replenish? I thought it did. What the frick? That doesn't replenish? Oh, that's some bullshit. Oh, now I get hit by this guy now? Just got home from first day off of work week. Heck yeah, dude. But I'm remote the rest of the week. Oh, yeah. Freaking lucky. So it'll be Mondays in office, 4 days remote from now on. Ooh, damn. How you liking that? Taking the office is a client's client site. My company is headquartered on the other side of this country. Oh, dang. I feel like it does like perks with working from home. Because some people look forward to socializing, you know? Oh, dude, I'm getting every single one of her attacks. I am almost dead already. I am dead. I'm not dead. I am about to be dead. 5 seconds here. I am dead. I don't even have the right thing on. I had the frickin' axe on this whole time. How the frick did that dodge? Oh, that frickin' dodge was sick. Oh, that was a good one. Ooh, that was a frickin' nice little combo. I ain't got no health though. I still say busy as food, but not having any community to deal with people walking out to my desk is that's true, that's true. Wow! What a great start. Yeah, frick your frickin' A. How come you can hit me but I... What? Unfair. Oh, wow. Okay. No, let's frick doing that. I died too quick. Have you been dibble-dabbling in Elden Ring a little bit? Frick, you know what I should do? I should just buy these things every time. I could just frickin' press W and E? Oh. Ow, dude! Frick you, I'm fighting you again. I'm getting my sheep back. Playing right now, yeah? Heck yeah, dude. What boss you at? Huh? Yeah, I don't know what I can do to make myself stronger. Oh, ah. Oh, like this. Oh yeah. Oh, this is a good start. This is a good start. 3 different characters, all in capital. Ooh, we've been playing around the early game with different builds. All level 64 now. Nice, dude. What kind of builds are you going for? Just like I guess the main part of like samurai, freaking mage and stuff. I'm not giving her a chance to win. Oh yeah, get her in the freaking corner. Oh no, shot. Son of a beach. Oh no, freaking shot. I was doing so good. God damn, homie. Oh, no, I ain't got no freaking heals. Now I'm dead. Damn, homie, I was doing so good. I didn't use any potions the first one. That was freaking god tier, dude. What the fuck? I refreshed for 30 minutes. Now I can see gameplay. I wonder how long. Holy shit. First one is dual hammers. Ooh. Giant Crusader work at the moment. Nice, dude. Just jump attacking things to poise break the hell out of everything. Nice. I don't think I've tried the hammers. Second is strength dagger plus beast spells. Ooh. Third is guard counter with gives his wheel. Ooh. Okay, okay, okay. You know what? I'm freaking changing something after I kill this guy. Ah!
Listen.
No, I don't want to freaking talk to you. No offense. Alright, we need to change some shit here. Can I change... Oh, of course you can't, dude. There's no freaking thing for the menu. I can't change the freaking menu options. That's freaking stupid. Well, welcome to the stream, Bagel. I have not been keeping up with my deaths. That is great. Wow. Fuck. This is why I want this sheet to be automatic, dude. Fuck. Let's see here. Okay, so I just died, so that's 1. Boom. Okay. I died probably 2 times before that. That's 2 more. Fuck it. Did I die 5 times? Fuck it. Go 5. Have I died 6 times? How long is each attempt? You know what? Let's just leave it at 6. I died 6 times in 30 minutes. Maybe. Fuck. Something like that. Bro, Bagel, this frickin' Malchucka's hard as shit. Beach. What the fuck did that hit me? Okay, take it. Every time she tries to go for something. Fuck out of here, Beach. I still use one healing, I'm freaking screwed. This fucking second sheet is fucking hard as shit.
Impressive, boy.
Maybe I shouldn't worry about what's it called? Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Ah, shit. God. Oh, God. Okay. Ow. What do you expect me to do in this situation? Get the fuck out of the way, you dumb beach. This fucking pillar just got in my goddamn way. Oh my god, I freaking got her. Holy shit, I freaking got her. Holy shit, I got her. Is that... Holy shit. How the fuck did I do that? Dude, that only took me what? Like an hour total combined streams? Holy shit. I'm freaking cracked. Whew. Did find a record last night for the first time, way better than for the Force Open fight. Oh, okay, I got you. Or not Force, but Sonic Assist. Yeah, I got you. Streamers still doesn't know. Shut the fuck up, pickle. I don't think I've never played this game. Put this through. Very stream posture, nice. The illusionists disappear. If you just run around. Wait, the illusionists disappear if you just run around. Oh, for real? Ah, shit. Bro, I was one shot for the last like 3/4 of that fight. Oh shit! I can't believe I actually did that. Sorry, shit. The bad memory of extraordinary foe lingering in the mind of the wolf. Wait. Commune with the idol and confront memories of battle to permanently increase attack power. The Phantom Lady Butterfly was a seasoned practitioner. Ooh. Wait. So if I can go back and fight that beach for again for she? Pale pink crystals is I known to form one of the law increased. Oh, sick. To repeat the follows and value to rewarded with memory come from all big bosses? Oh shit. You have defeated an extra. God, I'm getting like 6 pop-ups. An extra 4 could now be faced again once the memory can be accessed via the. Okay. So if I face her again, I get. If I face her again, I get a permanent attack upgrade. Or do I already have that? Don't. Alright, well, see you later. Oh yeah, this is a memory. Remember this scene? Don't forget about it? Oh yeah. Alright. Oh, what? Oh, I forgot she was here when I first got here.
You fought bravely on my behalf.
I could have used your help.
I cannot throw away such loyalty.
Hey, she a freaking god. You could have helped me out during the fight.
Take my blood and live again.
That's not a female character. Oh. Oops. I mean, he could have saved me.
What's wrong?
Dragon rot. The stagnation overflows and spreads. A disease that leads eventually to death.
What
Death.
are you talking about?
You don't need to worry about me. I'm not normal, you see. It's difficult for me to speak now. Ask Emma about
Let's
the
go,
rest.
please. Tracking around. No, not that a lot. Uh oh.
Ask Emma about the rest.
Do I have anything?
Sculptor.
I don't need your concern. I'm not normal, you know, mere.
Well, that beach time.
Have you seen the sculptor lately?
Yes. He's...
All I know is that
Yes, I
Doku
like the way he says yes.
though,
Yes.
that the dragon's heritage can bestow the power of resurrection. However, it is not any ordinary power. Repeated use leads to stagnation, which will eventually reach a point where it overflows. This causes those who do not have the power to become sick, a disease known as dragon rot. He knew much about it, but
I
even
guess it's
so,
just like freaking
he was unable to determine a
rotten
cure.
Elden Ring.
Forgive me,
Is there a way to treat this dragon rot?
I do not
I
know.
mean, I'm sick.
However,
Well, but it wasn't my
must be
fault.
stopped.
No,
I am
sorry.
unsure. But the first step is to look through my mentor's research and see if I can discover a way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have any seeds?
There must be a way to treat the dragon rot. The first step is to look through my mentor's research. Goodbye.
Peace. It wasn't intentional. I think. The enhanced. Oh, I got more sheet? Holy shit. The enhanced attire option has been unlocked in the scope. Anyone you can now consume battle memories to increase your attack power, causing you to deal more effective. Oh, okay. So I already got it from her. Mission strength menu has been unlocked. The what? Oh. Most when you can relive battles against extreme foes that have been previously defeated. That's kind of cool. What's upon fought them once per day during a is not tied to the strength and the rebel in any quick items used or referred to their original state upon return to reality. Huh. Well, that's cool. It's your damage increase. You'll have to consume it, else your damage stays at one attack. Yeah, okay. Well, that's pretty. Okay, so that's what the memory's for. Ah, okay. Sick. Cool. All right. Right on. Okay, there's a lot of things to remember here. I'm getting a little flustered here. It's too much stuff. Memory comes from like the major big bosses, pretty much. Okay, so like, I'm assuming I'll probably know when I'm fighting big boss. Okay, which ones do I have already? Those. Okay, do I have anything in here? What is this? You mentioned one was like super OP. Was it this one? Well, probably. Alright, but. This could be nice. Remember, blue things are passive. Oh yeah. Red ones you have to equip, yellow ones are also passive. Okay. Ooh, that means ooh. I have like barely any passive. I kind of want to try this one. I mean, I'll eventually I'll probably unlock all these. In the late game, it's really easy to farm skill points. Okay, so I'm not tripping then. I'm gonna freaking get this. Hope that was worth it. Come on, social skills based on strengths, but yeah, that means you can be learned. Only one combo arm can be equipped there. Ooh. Okay. So, oh, that's kind of nice. That's kind of that's kind of cool. That's pretty easy to remember too. That's kind of sick. Okay, I like that. Okay, so let me think of the next one I want to get, so I don't fucking forget, because I'll get sidetracked. Provides a follow-up attack for the tool. This one takes 3. Enables the use of tools while in midair. I haven't really had an opportunity to really need that, right? Okay, what is this one that takes 4? Increases the healing effects of it. Oh yeah, I should probably get that. Extra healing power would probably not hurt. Well, this one. Yeah, you're probably right. Huh. So, I mean, there's really not that many active ones. There's only 3, right? Because you said blue and yellow are freaking passive. Yeah, I think I want to save for this one. But then again, when am I gonna get 4? You know, like, well, I suck, and especially because you can't get your stuff back. Like, I'm freaking screwed. You only have 2 skill trees right now? There's more than 2? What? Spoilers! I'm just kidding. You got 4 reasons to learn about it? There's 5? What the fuck? Alright. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot how I'm supposed to talk to you. I'm gonna talk to you again. Oh. Oh. This beach dead. I didn't do it.
You're here too. It's so busy here today.
Sculptor.
I don't
He's freaking
need
dead.
your concern. I'm not. No, mere.
What are you doing?
Oh, I didn't realize you were here. The sculptor has been coughing
I
blood.
was.
I took a sample of this blood for my dragon rot research.
A sample of his blood.
Yes, blood that he's coughed up.
Why does his
The
voice
color of
acting
the
sound
blood
like
itself appears to be
Geralt from frickin' Witcher 3?
stagnant, but the sculptor's blood alone isn't enough to reach any conclusions.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes, bring me samples of blood coughed up by others that suffer from the dragon rot. If I have more,
Who the fuck is that?
I'll be able to learn more about the disease.
If I come across anyone afflicted by the dragon rot, I'll ask them.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Goodbye.
Let me just double check.
For my research, I need you to find. Thank you. Goodbye.
The frick must to find people that have the frickin' dragon rot. Oh, let me go ask this fool. Hey, yo, Beats, you got dragon rot? Oh, I should probably open this. Ah, see. Okay, I mean, actually, that's kind of good.
Oh, you
Hey, you got dragon rot, my guy?
This temple attracts those with nowhere else to go. I certainly fit that description. And I suppose that's why interesting things make their way into the offering box from time to time. This temple attracts those. And that's come back whenever you like. If you have techniques to try out.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So I don't think I was supposed to be fighting the thing I was fighting. It dropped me. Ah, shit! My headset's going out. And my headset just went out. No, I didn't. What? Did it? Yes, it did. All right. I guess we're charging headset now. Dial me, fucking. Don't even give me that much fucking warning. Fucking punk. Are you on already? Better be on. Check it. Oh no, I had to set my audio again. Motherfucker. Alright. Hopefully this works now. Okay. Is this still working for you guys? I sure do hope so. I mean, 4 levels worth, that's pretty good. That's about how much I was getting. And I think I was going in a kind of good order. Possibly. I'm gonna take a wild guess. I'm probably supposed to go back here and then go to what's her face and see what was over there. Oh, Mr. Butterfly. Or Mr. Butterfly. Huh? Why I never grabbed this, huh? Why I couldn't because I freaking died. Sick. What the fuck am I supposed to do from here? The fuck am I supposed to go from here? You are done here? Oh. How the fuck do I know what the next area is? Oh, yeah, it was a memory. I forgot. Whoops. I knew that. Oh wait, how did I even get to this memory? I forgot. Oh wait, this whole place was a memory, huh? This whole thing right here. So I'm still in here, right? Wait. Did I ever finish that stuff over there? Oh yeah, because I came back and then that's when I got the prosthetic sheet. Cause no, that's when I got the skills. You just go to the Ashina outskirts, the latest teleport. The wow. Oh wow. Oh wait, I want to touch that statue again. I know you just said the statue. I don't know how you don't understand the sentence. I don't either. What fucking outskirts is that? Wait, this is to do the... What's it called thing, right? Oh. Okay. Had to check. What, the name was on my screen? It was? Wait, the place I was just at? Without what said outskirts? Oh yeah, it did. Why does that sheet show up in here? Oh. Oh, it does. Oh. Oh, I knew that. Look, man, I didn't see the word, alright? I didn't see the word. Oh, now we gotta do all this bullshit again? Oh, everything's there already, forgot. Yeah, how far did we get up here in this beach? I think we got pretty far, right? Well, at least punks aren't dead yet. Okay, do I have anything on? Nice! What do I got to lose right now? Money and XP and fuck, I'm gonna die anyways. Ow! Why is it always straight? Why can't I just move? Yeah, I already killed these punks, but I'm freaking killing them again. What's up, bitch? Ah! Oh, ah, ah! Why? Yeah! Ah. Okay. Works. Yeah. Oh. Alright, I'm pretty sure I got all the items around here, right? Oh, that big guy's here, huh? Whoa! Wait, there was this many people here last time? Can you give me a chance to attack you, sir? Oh yeah, we're gonna have that. Wait, so you tell me that uses no stamina, I can just constantly get over? That's freaking great. Okay, there's no point in fighting again, but I kind of want to. Yeah, great idea, Nick. kind of just fun to get another one. I should probably just try and parry. How did that hit me? Alright. Yeah, apparently I'm not... Ah! Sir, I dodged that? Apparently not. Alright. Maybe I shouldn't do that. We didn't have much to lose anyways. You know, frick that guy. I'm not killing that guy anymore. That guy's dumb. Waste my freaking breath. See, now I'm so used to dodging and rolling because the freaking bloody butterfly. God damn it. Fuck you, beach. What's up, homie? Ah! Ah! Alright, I guess we can probably take this slow now. Jump over here. No one's up here. Oh, yeah. What the fuck is that? That's probably gonna hurt me. I should probably kill you first. Okay, watch this strat. You guys ready for this? I'm about to get a freaking one shot. Oh wait, what's over here? Oh, I can totally just freaking sneak up there. Ah ha ha. Wait, I have a skill that lets me. Okay, and here's my time to shine here. Actually, you know what? That works. Black grains from the power material is used to use in alchemic prosthetic upgrades. Ooh. Including those of explosive and ooh. I'm gonna take a wild guess. Everybody that has that frickin' weapon movement sheet. Should I kill these guys? Why not? Dumb as fuck. No offense. So I'm still getting comfortable with combat. When I say that, I mean I'm not doing good at all. My God, fucking heals. I guess I'll probably keep that on my sheet. Yeah, either this is a different way of getting up here, or this means there's some cool shit over here that your boy needs to freaking grab. Well, man, at least I don't lose my sheet. I saw the item. Ah, ha 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 ha. Loon. I'm probably never gonna use. So, yeah, this is the way I want to go. There we go. Sheet. Ooh, what the frick is this? While using basic reinforcement, it can serve as a base material for a circle. Oh, okay, so upgrades. Oh, okay. What? How did I not forward there? Wow. All right. I've spammed F like 7 times. I guess it doesn't matter. Now it does. Okay. All right. Cool. feel like I missed so much sheep, but whatever. Fuck it. Yeah, I think I skipped a lot of sheep over there too, but fuck it. I don't know what part of this freaking place I'm at right now. Look, someone friendly.
Ah, I know you. Yeah. You're that good Sir Shinobi, sir, huh? Well, I haven't seen you
yeah.
since, well, since that night.
Who the fuck are you?
You don't remember?
No.
Oh, I see. You don't remember. Listen, sir, you and I, we've met before. I was a thief back then. But those days are behind.
Yeah, I remember this guy.
I'm an upright,
Is he actually
honest
telling the truth?
merchant.
Like, do I
Only
actually
problem
have I met
is
this guy before?
broke.
It looks
Being
familiar.
broke, I don't have anything to sell. So, good sir, would you mind lending me just a few coins?
Whoa,
to get
whoa,
my
whoa,
business
whoa,
going?
whoa, whoa.
I'll stock something useful just for you. Oh, you bet I will.
How much
And
you
as a
need, my
little
guy?
bonus, I'll tell you all about that night.
You have met him in the
What
memory?
do you think? Pretty good deal, right?
Oh, how much we talking about here? 10?
Here's some coin.
Thanks, good sir.
Now talk.
Yes, of course. That night.
Yeah, I've met him in the memory.
So my gang.
Oh, was he at the very start? He was like laying on the
Well, as
frickin'
you're aware, the Hirata family is part of the Ashina.
I don't know, what's it
Now,
called?
normally they'd
Corner?
walk the floor
Next to a rock or
with
something?
petty thieves like us. I mean, no sweat. But
No?
just
Oh,
so
shoot.
happens we broke in during a battle. Yeah. Almost all of the young samurai were away from home, and it was a
Was
prime
he
opportunity.
the mom's son? No, because he died.
We started a fire and
Or
cleaned out
grandma's,
the
whatever.
place. That there's when I met you. You.
I should
were
probably
looking
should have
for
listened.
something.
Oops.
At least that's what it looked like to
Well,
me.
yeah.
Well, that's all I know about that night.
I see.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't listen to anything you said because I was talking.
You're making
Oops.
now. You had that same look on your face that night. You still looking for something? Listen, good sir. For a price, I might be able to tell you some other tidbits you might find useful. For a price, of course. I'm a merchant now. So,
Fuck it. How much? I got 112. I'm about to lose anyways. Fuck it. 20? Fuck it. What you got?
I'll buy some information.
thank you very much.
I'm gonna lose my shit anyways.
Since you're a shinobi, I'll give you some information about shinobi tools.
If you could.
Now, I've seen this tube. A tube with fire blasting out of it. Huh? When we broke
Probably
into the
gonna
Hirata
write that down.
estate, one of my pals nabbed one. That's the sound the fire makes when it blasts out.
Oh, I forgot to add death for time before. A tied note written from scenes blah blah huge blah when he broke the zero found this rose. Huh. Flame bro. Huh.
I have one.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I have that sheet.
What?
I said I already have one.
Huh? Oh.
Why I have that sheet?
Well, that's a shame. That one's on me.
What? I don't want your damn oil. Give me some more information for free. What the fuck?
I'll procure some goods with the coin. Look forward to it.
What the what?
This man was from Hirata. I must pay my respects.
Lord Kuro,
Lady Emma, are there other Hirata survivors?
there are very few left.
I see. Apologies. There's no end to those who seek the dragon's heritage. This was their fate. Because of those that pursued me. I didn't mean to involve them.
Oh. Fucking making some goddamn noise for you, dumb beat. Jesus fucking shit. Oh, that's it. Can I make that? What are the chances I find this in here? Also, wait, why the frick is that up there? How much did I skip from going around? I kinda wanna go back. Oh, it's just right there. Well, I didn't go over here. Is there shit over here? Fuck, run. Let's check. I almost forgot. Oh, ran off. Oh, yeah, I was right here. It was not there. Okay, what the frick's. Was there, Oh, okay. I thought that was gonna. Oh, okay. I guess I'm gonna go here anyways. Hoo-yah! Alright. What you got? What you got? What is this? Suppresses sound to percent. Oh. Huh, I don't think I've gotten one of those before. I'm probably never going to use that because I'm going to forget about it, but thanks. I wanted to reset like that. Oh, I guess I have to do it now anyways. I can just do this, never mind. Totally saw that before. I'm gonna waste a pellet for that? Frick it, why not? Alright. Let's see. Let's go up here. Let's. Okay, let's not go up there. Alright. Frick it, go right through the motherfucking door. What's up, homies?
I don't feel safe with that big bastard just tied up next to us. I'd rather not be gravely injured just before the war begins.
If the worst happens, only choice is to use fire. Those red eyes fear fire. That's what the Lord's proclamation said.
Proclamations? What a joke. Ashina sure has a funny way of preparing for war.
Oh, really? That guy doesn't look that big. Well, I guess you don't have to worry about war because you're fucking dying, bitch! Dude, that is he? I think he's a little bit. Can I save him? No, thank you. Look, man, I'm helping you out. I'm saving your ass, alright? Kind of. I'm saving my heals for cut. Shit! Alright, not exactly how I want to. Oh, okay, still getting used to this movement. Frick, have I been over here? God, there's so much sheep. What the frick's that? What's the point of going over here? Okay, I'm pretty sure I missed some sheep over there. There's so many places to go. I don't frick. I'm perplexed. God, dude, I feel like I'm missing so much stuff. I hate this. Look, homie. Look. I should have took advantage of that. Look, my guy, I was trying. You could have got yourself out this whole time. You missed anything already? It'll be good for content, don't worry. There's so much shit to look at. I can't. Grab attacks cannot be deflected. There is no No way to avoid taking serious damage once grabbed. Yeah, it's kind of like frickin' what's it called? But if one jumps or sprints away, grabs can be avoided. Some grabs can also be avoided with a well-timed step dodge. Yeah, okay. Hold, yeah. Look, look, man. Let's just talk about this. Oh, hey, how's it going? Look, man, I don't want to tussle my guy. Look, I thought we were gonna be friends, you know. Clearly, you don't want that. It's the actual first boss. Wait, Lady Butterfly is not the first boss? Oh, I could she was in memory. What's going now, huh? Bitch. Wait, if I had a range weapon, can I just totally like cheese his whole shoot and just stay up here and shoot him? That's very OP. Wow, nice attempt. Okay, I don't know what this green effect thing that's coming up on him. I found out what the green thing is for. Forgot. Damn it! Ow! Dang! Goddamn! Ah! This guy has some WWE moves up on this beach. Alright. Oh, I'm not gonna forget my death this time. Dude, this guy has some freaking WWE moves in this beach. Hey, what's up, Easy Peasy? What's up, man? What's up with some of my favorite games? Really? Dude, this game's a lot of people's favorites. I'm surprised. I like it's far. I'm getting my ass kicked, bro, but we freaking killed Lady Butterfly, so I mean I'm not feeling too bad. We're about 6 hours in right now. If I fight you up here, I don't have to worry about these guys. Let's see that. Can I get a free hit button? Damn! I just kind of afraid of that. Times you're gonna hug my sheep. Apparently all the time. Yeah, I'm really digging my attack right now. Oh, what a finisher. Holy shit. Oh, right in the frickin' eyeball, dude. Ow! There's two of them? Dude, you just freaking hug all the time? I don't want your freaking affection. No offense. Dude, this attack is sick. Ow! Wow, it's triple. Whee! Whee! Oh yeah, let's help the freaking big guy instead of helping the small guy. Nah, it's totally freaking fair. Freaking son of a- I just died because of that. I agree that was kind of dumb on my part. I don't know why I did that. Oops. Why you killed Lady Butterfly? And it's a little bit of flex, right? That's pretty good, dude. A lot of people will have trouble with that. Yeah, dude, it only took me like an hour, which I'm pretty surprised about. Dude, I had like no health at the end. I was literally one shot for like 3/4, or no, 1/4 of the last phase, or bar, what the frick you want to call it. Is that a death counter? Haha, yes it is. Thank you for reminding me. I think I'm off by like a couple, but there's a good majority on there. I'm gonna kill these guys because they're gonna interrupt my sheet. Ah! Watch this. Bop, bop, run away. Bop, run away. Bop. Bop. Dude, that is such. I like that move a lot. That is freaking sick. Freaking love not having ah! I have too much room over here. Ah! Ah! Dude, how many times are you gonna? It's gonna hurt a lot. Ow! Ow! Holy shit! See you later, my guy. God. Damn. And you only get a 105 for that? That's it? That sounds about right when you said it took you an hour. Yeah, it was I think 35 minutes this stream and then like 20 minutes last on Friday. Hell yeah. What is this? A latent skill that increases the healing effect of... Wait, I got this? Wait, I just straight up get this skill? Huh. Okay. Cool. Alright. It's the big show. Prairie bead, hell yeah. I'm gonna kill this fool just because why not? I'm about to get one shot though. Dude, this freaking ability is so freaking overpowered. I love it. I got 2 revives. This should be good. I think I'm about to get, what the frick is this? A bamboo tube used to see distant objects while streaming already has good vision. Okay. How the fuck do I use that? Probably like this. Oh. It's not even that zoomed. What the fuck is this? Can I mark the enemies with this? It's not even that freaking zoomed in. That's fucking worthless. I don't want that sheet. Oh, frick all that shit. What the foo? Take a wild guess. This might be never mind. Yeah, how you been, Mr. Easy Peasy? Ooh, hell yeah. I gotta sneeze, I gotta sneeze, I gotta sneeze. No, I don't. Ow! Yes, I do. Can I... You know what? I gotta check some now. Okay, my theory is wrong. Shit. Damn. Dude, load your quick slots with the consumables. They are crazy rare products. See, the thing is, bro, there's so many I can't even keep track. And I always forget to use them. Like in Elden Ring, I barely use any of them. I mean, I know they're there for a freaking reason. And I should use them, but I always seem to not use them. I mean, like, it's, and the thing is, I don't know when. Wait, in storage? How do I get him out of storage? Okay, well, the maximum is 3, so maybe like when I use one, I'll just automatically drag him from the storage. And another thing, I don't like switching through like 6,000 different things to get to my heals. Cause I suck, so bad things happen. Wait. Just double check here. Jesus, just gotta double check. Please use all the OP symbols for all easy bosses so you get none of the hard ones. Yeah, that's messed up. How invisible am I? Will they see me if... have I told you that I fucking suck? Oh, that's a big guy. Maybe he didn't see me. Ah! Someone know me. Ah! That freaking ability is so overpowered. Love it. We are. Dude, that's so OP. I love it. It's so freaking good. Yeah, big boy. I was always taught to not do big boy first. Hiya! Shut the fuck up, bitch. That's a very big man. Wow, dude. Yeah. Oh, all right. You what's wrong? When did I get that from? Ah! Yeah! Yeah! Ow. Okay, I'm going for that. We got it! We better give it. Yeah! How was I supposed to read that? Oh, okay. Ow! I like your style, just going gung ho with everything. Dude, ask me never again, man. This is the game where you probably should not do that because you lose sheet and it kind of hurts, but. And again, I mean, it's fun. Oh, that means I have to kill these punks again? Lose half your every time you die. Yeah, and you lose your freaking XP too. It's a lose-lose situation, but I like stealth, but in a way I kind of wish the whole like throwing to distract was infinite. I know that's hell OP, but I guess that's just what I'm used to in games. Oh no, my homie died. Okay, what was the one I wanted to try that was better? Yes, this right here. The sword. Oh. Okay, now how does this work? Oh, that's the wrong button. Ah! Ah! Oh. Yeah! Frick you, stupid. Whoa. Yeah, but, Yeah! Yo! Oh! You don't fucking. Alright. Ow. You're just like, ow, dude. Like, where the fuck did that beach come from? And then I forgot to kill somebody. Ah! Let me finish your homework. What? That hit me? Dude, you like barely get any freaking heals in this game. It's kind of ridiculous. But and, like, I know it's supposed to be hard and shit, but god damn. That's just dumb. Like you really gotta freaking parry, but at the same time, ow! I freaking suck. Whatever you're doing, stop. See, I knew that was coming. Dodging isn't great. Yeah, but I'm so used to Elden Ring. My head is still in Elden Ring, and I need to like just make it go away. Dodging kind of worked out for the frickin' ladies. I mean, get to find gold seeds in the game, and then give it. I mean, at least I don't have to worry about grabbing my stuff, you know? That attack is so freaking overpowered. Ow! Okay. Maybe I should not do what I'm doing. Ah! I can't focus when I'm getting shot by 7,000. Wow! Did I have my death for the other one? I don't think I did. What the freak you looking at? Yeah! Kill you just because I freaking can, beach. Screw you, Monchucker. Fuck, I need a ranged weapon. When do I get that sheet? I really want to kill this guy, but I need to kill everybody around him because I'll get slapped. And I don't do good when I get slapped. Okay, let's just do our old route because it seemed to work out. I just gotta not suck. Range weapon? What is this, Call of Duty? Hell yeah! Can you like freaking walk a little faster? I ain't all day in this beach. Watch this. I don't even know what's happening. Ah! Oh, he didn't see me. Freaking Dumbo. Yeah, I'm already getting hit by that other guy and you're just gonna come attack me and now I'm getting comboed 7 times by every freaking enemy in the game. Ah! Wait! Yeah! I really hate this freaking ledge grab. I keep. You know what? Maybe it'd be smart if I killed you first, because you're the one that's getting everybody's attention. Not a bad idea. Do that, but relying on only parable your demise. He's pooping in the. Hey, what's up, Slasher? Hey, the mad lad killed Lady Butterfly. Hell yeah! Somehow. Yes, I never seen like this one. Alright, let's just play it slow, you know, we ain't no rush. We ain't no rush, right? I don't know what the fuck that was. I keep freaking dodging. That's it's such a reaction to dodge. Just press R to use my thing. Ah! Again. Beat. Okay, well, there's no way I'm doing this. I just press R. I just pressed R to use my fire. Only a couple tries, I see. Yeah, it was. I think it was like an hour total. So like 30 minutes to stream and then like 30 last stream, or maybe it was like 20 last stream. And sweet parry, dude, I fucking suck. I need to stop dodging so much. I need to learn how to use both the mechanics. But it's okay, you know what? I just told myself to go for this guy first. No fucking shot. No fucking shot. Nobody else knows, right? You got some fucking terrible ass aim, my guy. Shut the fuck up, you bitch! We already freaking. What the frick? You know what? Let's just take a hard reset. How about that? Hard. No, not a hard reset. Soft reset. Oh, wait, is this considered a soft reset? I don't know. Reset. Different Souls game? Yeah, dude. My brain is having problems with that right now. Wait till you fight Donkey Kong? What the frick? Okay, no shot you guys don't get bored soon. Okay. Okay, I saw some sheet over here. Is there a guy right here? What was that? Oh, one second, guys. Ooh. Oh, wait, I can fit you like this. She can sheet. Ooh. Oh. Oops. Ooh. What's this? Turn back if you value your life. You can behead the headless or swords and pikes. Our swords and pikes did nothing. What are you guys talking about? I want to go over there. Pause on this. Gotta kill this dumb beast first. Ooh, you know what? Does he come over here all the way? Ooh. Ooh. Okay, a new plan. Let's try and get one extra. Let's try and get a stealth stab on this beach. Maybe I need to play a little more fucking slow. Alright, in order to achieve that, I need to kill this fucking range punk right here. 4 guys right here. Fucking love it. Alright. I wonder if I kill these guys, if that homie down there will know. Okay, well, nobody's looking over here, so you're freaking out of the game, my guy. Sorry. You're a freaking chump. Look at that. No one even freaking knew what happened, dude. Oh no, my homie died. Haha, who killed him? Not me. Oh no, my homie died. What am I gonna do? Oh no, I'm frightened. Ah! Ah! Oh no, my homie's dying. I don't know what's happening. Ah! Ah! Wah! You ain't never seen such a good fucking play. You ever seen that play before, my guys? You ever seen a play like that before? I haven't. That was freaking sick. Alright, let's try and get a freaking extra on this guy. I really want to get that thing that allows me to what's it called? Yeah, I think he's gonna freaking turn around soon. Oh, we traded a little bit. We both did the same move. Oh, come on, my guy. I hate how the initial shift is a frickin' what's it called? I really don't like that. Damn it. I really don't like that. That's the wrong button. That's not the right button. That is not the right button. Son of a bitch. Fook. So how you like Sekiro so far? Honestly, it's pretty fucking sick. It's freaking harsh. Like, holy shit. Wait, frickin' at least with frickin' Dark Souls games, you can get your sheep back, but you can't get your sheep back on this. Holy shit. But I do like the playstyle, and I'm excited to see all the sheep for it. Yeah, I must keyboard. The start is rough. Yeah, dude, for real. Like, I ain't got no heals. I'm getting slapped. But I'm not getting discouraged because, you know, I'm assuming it gets kind of a little easier after a while. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of controller. I can't play on a controller, bro. I'll be here for 6 hours just learning how to freaking do something cool. Well, not even that. Just... I suck. I kind of like my strategy because I killed them all pretty silently. I just, you know, freaking suck at fighting people. Now, I would love for these guys to get the fuck away from each other so I can kill them all in 2 freaking seconds. But this doesn't look like that's really gonna happen here. Because this dumb... Oh yeah, I can use my sheet. Haha. I hate how I can't really see where I'm throwing either. I guess. Like, I wanted that to go above him, but it didn't. And that guy up there didn't give a freaking sheet. Can you guys, like, move more? Fuck this. Fuck this, watch this. Yeah, I guess I'm getting used to it more. Ah, yeah! Did you really just throw a fucking pebble at me right now? You gonna fucking do something? Yeah! So I got the crit. Yeah! What? Oh shit. Oh god. Yeah! Ah! What? No way! Yeah, but trade him! Okay, I didn't trade that well. It's a thing called getting up. Pop! Well, see, now I'm fooked because I ain't got shit. Also, how did the other guy not hear me? Isn't there still a guy right here? Are you freaking dumb, my guy? Did I just hear your home? Ah! Yeah! I swear to God, I'm holding that shit. I guess you really gotta spam click. You told me that, Slasher. God, keep freaking doing it. God damn it. That was just. There's a thing called getting up. Okay, that was dumb. Now I'm so used to just using that button. I'm just pressing that shit all the time. That didn't negate your sheet. Woo! That's unfair. Dude, why is I hate how the shift is like that. Bah! No! Oh Jesus! Okay, every time I get so close to dying and I somehow kill stuff, I don't know how the frick I do it. Thank you, sir. I don't understand how I do these things sometimes. I like how that guy wasn't even a boss either. He's just a hard enemy. Alright, I said I was gonna go over here after. See, now I ain't got no heals. Some games are good on controller. Yeah, I know that Rocket League is good on controller, but well, it's better. Oh, yeah, I guess it's good. But I've already played like so many hours of regular. It's be freaking impossible to switch. Okay, what the frick did you tell me about this? Not to do it. What the frick can I even do over here? Am I supposed to go a freaking different direction? What the frick am I even supposed to do right here? What the fuck? Yeah, I want to get that freaking item. I played Cuphead with a mouse and keyboard. But well, no, yeah, I played a Cuphead with mouse and keyboard too. That game was pretty tough, not gonna lie. I don't think I comprehend how to get over there. I think I had to go a different way. I should probably unlock this freaking door on the other side. I don't know if it's worth unlocking that. I don't freaking know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. All I know is I want that motherfucking item. Fuck do I get over there? I don't know if I'm going. I don't know. Never mind. I don't want anymore. You're not bad at this games, but then again, this is my first Souls game after I've wait. Well, wait. This game. I don't know if this game is considered a Souls game. Is it? Bro, I really want to go over there, but I don't understand how to go over there. Alright, can I go up here? Is there shit I'm missing up here? Yeah, I see a thing over there. There's so many. There's so much sheet to explore. It's in the family. Oh, you're right. You're right. Should I rest? Should I rest? Fuck, I'm already going to a new place anyways. Yeah, I felt like I missed a lot of stuff in that last section. Oh yeah, Bagel, didn't you tell me there was some other shit I missed too? I'm missing a lot of shit. I hope none of it's like restricted to like equipment I don't have, because that would fucking suck. It's like I'm already. I feel like I'm missing CR right here. You missed a vendor with an important item, but don't worry. I did. See. Oh, thanks, game. I didn't freaking know already. You're just not telling me this. Wow. I was not expecting that. Can you, Oh, hey. Yeah. Did you go away? Or you just, Shushu. Do you just stay there forever? What the fuck is the point of coming down here? Why did I come down here for? Shushu. Oh, that's why. Wait, can I already go over there? What the? Jesus. That scared the shit out of me. Holy shit, that scared the shit out of me. Ah! Frick you, bitch. Never mind. Okay. I'm just gonna. Okay. Fine. I'll take you now. Okay. Okay. Step over the main gate. Oh, sir, frickin' please walk faster, sir. I'm missing so much sheet in this area. It's frickin' stupid. I want whatever this is. What is this? Oh. Oh. Oh, yeah, I want that. Yeah. I think I have the reaction time to dodge that. Dude, I miss so much sheet right now. Alright. Well, ow. Okay. Alright, what's up, Chase? So, ow. Dude, there's no fucking way I'm getting 4 skill points. Let's just, can we just all agree on that real quick? But don't worry, for the content, can't wait. Yeah, I cosign. Okay. Wait, what was the direction I went to? Oh yeah, I went that way. Okay, so what if I just go this way then? I did not mean to. Ah! Oh. Okay, so what happens if I go this way? This is a whole bunch of nothing. This is just a little thing for that. Okay, I knew that. Okay, so pretty much, I just gotta keep running. Hi, how's it going? Great start. Love it. Okay. Alright. Love that. Alright. That's just a piece. All my freaking money I spent. Okay. No, that's cool. Confirm take fall damage. Okay. I was not actually aware of that until right now. Okay. I'm taking a freaking shortcut. How do I get over there again? Oh god. I forgot. Oh, never mind. Ah! Running, my god, don't even think, or just fucking run for your fucking life. Fuck the items, fuck everything, fuck the snake, fuck all your Hold on, you can't see me. Okay, we're good. Oh, hey. Oh, wow, you got some pretty nice detail on there. So now, if I was smart, I would actually, you know, like. Oh, we're playing Assassin's Creed in this speech? Oh! Ah! Should I run? Should I be running? I think I should be running. I don't think I should just be sitting here not doing jack and shit. I think I should be running around trying to find the right way to go because this speech is going square now. I'm gonna go this way. Okay. Hey. I'm not sure. Thank you very much. Huh? So, can you maybe like, oh, thank you, thank you. Can we, I don't think the game wants me to go up there. I'm thinking the game wants me to go up there. I think I should have took advantage of, him screaming a little more. Ow. Okay, so let's do that again. It seemed to work out pretty freaking well. Okay, not considered death. Frick, I might as well heal so I can get a shot. Alright, note to self. Note to self. Stab him in the eyeball. Fuck, dip. I think all you gotta do is just wait until his fucking dumbass head turns the other freaking way. Come on in, bitch. Yeah! Maybe I can do it now. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. I don't know what to go from here. Ah! Yeah, what? Oh. Okay. That was fun. That was fun. Ah, sweet. So, Herb catalog scrap? A page torn from the herb catalog. Snapseed naturally grows in ravines and deep valleys. According to Snapseed naturally grows. Oh. Yeah. Cool. Alright, cool. You will get one shot. One shot. Do you know who you're talking to? There's a freaking remnant thing over there. There's items over here. Items right there. He's dropping right here.
Kokage, my poor lord. All it took was a bit of gunpowder. He startled, and now he's dead.
Frickin' rip the horse and rip you too, beach. What? I blocked that sheet. Hello? I did not. I thought we'll frickin' sneak it. Yeah. Beach. I'll try to steal. I still frickin' suck with the combat in this frickin' game, but you know what? It's fine. Okay, I'm pretty sure if we go through that, we skip like the entire sheet over here. And I mean, I like to kill stuff, so. Okay, so in what circumstances can I frickin' one-shot you guys from up here? Because sometimes I jump, sometimes I can't do that sheet, and sometimes I can. Like right there, I could. What frick? Ah. Oh, we're going backwards. Forget. You know what I should start doing, dude? Press the frickin' Q over. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Okay. Secret stuff? No? Okay, cool. Love that. I could totally skip all these guys. And there's a freaking big guy right there. Do I want to fight that guy? Not really, dude. I want this item. Hey. I'm gonna get a free attack on that beach, though. Or I could not if I'm freaking dumb. Or I could not if I'm freaking.
We managed to drive them back once, but the Interior Ministry's army is far too powerful.
And that is why you wish to use the power of my blood. It doesn't matter how much power you obtain. You'll keep on fighting until you are most.
1 second, sir.
You obtain your fear. I do not wish to disrupt the life of you.
Look, now it's getting fun. Ashina cannot do it any better.
Could never be as strong as you, Lord Enichiro. I do not yet know what it is I should do.
It's been a long time since that. Rhaegar was right. Anything good to me.
Oh, thanks for waiting. Huh. Ah! Oh, I forgot one thing. Yeah, it. Damn it, I freaking messed it up. Is it going up? I'm not hearing up, please. Ah! I'd like to attack, don't mind. Yeah, that's great, Nick. Love that. What? You guys didn't see me. What? I didn't do shit. You guys clearly seem to be pissed off. But that's a big ass freaking weapon, my guy. Come on. Do I want to fight you? I really don't like this guy. I'm not gonna lie. They're just waiting back sub. I don't think it would show up if he has two. Right? I think he just has one. Frick, I don't wait. I got time, beats. I'm walking back over here. Look at him, dude. He's a freaking god. Look, he's even freaking look backwards. His eyes in the back of his freaking head. Going that way, they'll be sick. Or not. Do they freaking jump? Oh, that guy was just a shot. Sucking garbage. Shard, thank you very much. Balloon that I'm probably never gonna freaking use, thank you very much. Every coin purse, I'll use that sheet eventually when I buy stuff. I don't know what the fuck that is. Alright, I got all the items over there. That's just nothing but freaking death. Let's freaking peep up here real quick. We touched that sheet. Freaking one over here. We already did that sheet. Okay, let's open this freaking door. Let's not open the door. I didn't want to open that door anyways. Alright, you always told me to straight up go in there? That's a lot of freaking dead people, dude. God, fuck. I ain't. I'm gonna take a wild guess. That door is probably a freaking shortcut. So maybe I should spell march to that. Fuck it, let's spell march to that. Unless this is gonna freaking summon a boss or some shit.
My name is Kyobu Masataka Oniwa! As I breathe, you will not die!
I mean, I shouldn't have guessed this was a boss. Okay, I guess he's leaving. Oh god. Oh god. My goodness. Jesus. Well, get your ass over here, beach. Ow! Oh my god. Oh, I thought I can do it. Damn. Oh yeah, I'm so freaking standing. That's the wrong motherfucking button. You little chump. Ah! Get your freaking horse out of here. Oh, these next few doors. Why wouldn't you get the horse first? Ah! Oh, you like that freaking dodge? Like that freaking dodge, my guy? Dude, that freaking thing where I can, that grappling hook thing is so freaking good. Very good, not dodge. What was that? Well, that was a play and a half. Holy shit! Can I have your horse? Wow! Wait, that was a memory? That was sick. I did that first try, dude? I'm a god, dude. Okay, Angelia, how you were just blowing through this game. Oh, dude, I'm not even trying. I just get lucky. I'm getting a little bit better at I'm really liking my combos I have right now. My ability is freaking sick. I like my freaking my grappling hook attack, dude. That freaking thing saves my ass. Things even sharper. Wow. Fangs? What the frick are you talking about? I have fangs? By giving the Barrel to this upgrade can be created. You can quickly return to the. Yeah, I know. Oh, fangs. Frick. Oh, fangs. What the frick are you talking about? I was struggling with this game. It was Cuphead and this shit. Dude, frickin' Cuphead kicked my ass, bro. I don't know how I did the frickin' complete that game, I'm not gonna lie. I should have guessed this was the frickin' boss. I mean, I didn't know it was a frickin' memory, but. Well, this was the right way of talking. Okay, whoops. I was probably the right way of coming in here.
Care to purchase an offering?
An offering.
Indeed. I sell items to be offered to the dead, so they might rest in peace. From the looks of you, I'd wager you have a
Please
lot
have
of
good
blood
sheet.
on your
This is the first
hands.
merchant, right?
Go ahead. Buy an offering.
Oh yeah, this is DLC. Easy peasy. Ha. I think I did that shit, right? Okay, what can I sell? Oh, I can sell everything. Ah. Oh damn, I got freaking 800. What is that? I got freaking 1300 just showing in there. Okay, what you got? Please, something good. Oh. Yeah, let me buy this sheet for $10 more. Yeah. Sure. Oh, I can buy a freaking seed. That is something I motherfucking want. Am I gonna sell my sheet for that? You freaking bet my sheet I am. I could also sell this stuff. Dude, I really don't think I'm gonna use this stuff. I'm not gonna lie with you. Like, this is money just freaking chilling. This is worth 50. What does this do? Huh. I want to see suffering. I feel like maybe I should keep all this sheet because I mean eventually I'll use it, but I am gonna freaking sell these though, and I'm getting that freaking thingamabob. What is this? Firecrackers from across southern seas can be fit into the becoming. Oh, this is the makes a deafening sound frightened to animals. Tell by little Bert and his father to raise funds to the travels. Ooh, I didn't know this is a frickin' what's it called? Frick, I should buy this too. A quick tip about this game: you can actually buy coin purses to save your sin. Oh, that's why you'd buy it. Oh. I didn't even freaking think. What the fuck is this? Use it with slightly increases or oh, okay. I literally told you this already. Oh yeah, you did. What you think? I forget that sheet. Wait, why didn't you tell me that? It's already 7:12. Look, you know I got terrible memory, right? I'm sorry. Literally, when he died the first time? Well, yeah, the first time. That was hours and hours ago.
The departed, you'll find the memorial mound wherever your travels take you.
Okay, so I have to come back to this exact spot every time for this guy? Or is he gonna, like, follow me and shit? You think I'm gonna remember where this guy's at? Hang on. Well, actually, if I can get... Oh, let me, hold on. Let me look at this first. Oh, sorry. I read your message, but I didn't say it out loud. Bottle divine confetti, like it's stock in the 80s. No, I saw you first.
Another rat. But those eyes, a starving wolf. Before I kill you, Tell me your name. Tell me your name! No name to give. You shinobi are all the same. You die nameless, with no one
Excuse
to
me,
mourn
sir.
you.
What the fuck did that?
However, your left arm, a prosthetic shinobi arm. It reminds me of... That's it. A one-armed wolf. I like it. Which means Sekiro. That is what I shall name you. Who are you? I am the Tengu of Ash.
He was like 7'3". Oh, see, you're right.
Here to hunt some rats with me.
What?
Rats have snuck into Ashina, scurrying about like they own the place. There are all kinds of rats out there, and they must be cut down. Every last one of them. It seems you have
Can we also talk about how I just skipped
Allow me.
running around here and getting to this place before I fought the
What'll
guy?
it be, Sekiro? Will you hunt rats with me?
Okay, well, wait. Well, first off, why would I disagree and why would I agree? I'm guessing this is gonna affect the ending. I'm taking a wild shot here. Okay, so if I refuse, I'm probably gonna slap my sheet. I'm probably gonna end up fighting him. It doesn't? Oh. Oh. Okay. I will tell you when the decision with the ending comes. Oh. Oh, okay, I'll help.
Very well.
Excellent. You'll need this if you're with me, Sekiro.
Rat description. Description of the rats that have stuck in his speech again once they're actually dealt with. Oh god, I have to actually do all this? I ain't gonna do that shit.
What is this?
The face of a rat. And where it makes
This will
its
be very
home.
awkward if you do bad
Go
ending
and
first.
Kill it. If
That's
you
bound
do,
to happen.
I will give you something that will aid you in battle.
Okay, first things first. You expect me to remember all that shit? And to come back here and do all that? Hell nah. Motherfucker, that ain't happening. Shut up. Now you give me freaking money. Oh, what the fuck you hiding up there, huh? The fuck you got popping up here? Probably could have went the actual way instead of doing that, but man, my shit up here. Can I make that? Oh, I know I can make that. Ah, God, dude, the movement in this game is so freaking weird, bro. So freaking weird. Oh. Oh, this is about to be something badass in this motherfucker. Oh, I'm about to get some good ass sheet. Fucking 2,000% worth it. Alright, put me down, Chief. Preferably don't kill me, though. Oh, I forgot you can't just run off. Okay, so now let's go talk to this beach. Also, how did I kill that guy first try?
Gyobo's finally a corpse.
I don't know if that was guy was considered hard, but I freaking killed that guy first try.
Nothing, you know. There'll be more wars.
I guess I'm just getting used to shit now.
And deep-seated hatred will run wild. Where's all that hatred go? Haven't you ever wondered? Guess not. Guess you haven't. That's why I pity you. And I pitied him.
Okay. Oops.
Now then, be gone already. There's no end to war, no matter what this old hag says. Your duties will never change either. That's just how it is.
Okay.
Now that there's you, that's
Go, and if you do,
Okay. Alright, now, where was that, where was the frickin', what's it called in this place? Kinda forgot how I even got in here, not gonna lie. Oh, it's right here, okay. So, okay, that definitely is a shortcut, okay. Do we go back and check out all the sheep we got? Because we got a lot of sheep. Or do we, no, because, you know what? No. There has to be a what's it called? In front of the, or after the boss, right? Just don't think I'm ever gonna use that. There has to be a frickin', what are the frick they're called? I already forgot the frickin' name of them. You know what I'm talking about. I need to turn my frickin' fan on. I think I'm getting attacked by someone. Hopefully not. Alright. Alright, there has to be one over here, right? Yeah, it's frickin' right there. Oh, no, it's not. I just saw some sheep. Well, no, there's no shot there's not. Because, what? After a boss fight, there's always frickin'... Yeah, that's what I'm frickin' talking about. Alright, frick it. Let's full rest. Let's go back to the frickin' thing. Idle, that's what it's called. Because I got frickin' memory. I guess I can just do it all in here. Hell yeah. Nice! Okay, then we have... This? No. Oh yeah, we need one more. Duh! That's right there. Frick if we have any levels, because I keep frickin' dying. That's already maxed out. We still have to travel to the sheets, so let's do that. Alright, so we got, what is that? An upgrade for some Fang sheet. We got something else and something else, I think.
I saw
Yes,
you and Lord Kuro in a vision.
a vision.
Yes. Where is Lord Kuro right now?
He's being kept near the keep at Ashina Castle. The gate to the castle, however, is shut.
I see.
I'm glad you've
Isn't
come,
that the guy I just
Master
killed?
Wolf.
Is his name Lord something? How did I already forget? Oh yeah, I got his teeth. That's what it was. Hell yeah. Do I have two? Do I got three?
For my research, I need you to find me.
I'll see what.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Alright, homie.
Oh, I see you've acquired something quite interesting. A mechanical barrel. It's a mechanism that can serve as the very core of the prosthetic. Hand it here. I'll fit it to the arm for you.
What difference does the barrel make?
With a versatile base such as this, I can use various purifying agents to further hone that fang of yours.
Purifying agents?
Purifying agents are materials that can be used together with the barrel. Things like gunpowder and scrap metal. So if you find something of that sort, be sure to bring it my
I got some
way.
of those. Sick. Fuck it. Do I have any more to fit? I think I have one, right? I do not. Okay, so what is this? Oh my. Okay. And it says to many tool upgrading tool. Oh my. Alright. And so it can be spent to upgrade versions of tools. To upgrade, one must own the base tool and also complete any prereqs. Oh god, that's freaking prereqs. Older version of the tool can. Oh boy. Alrighty then. There's where sheep pops off. Here's where the freaking money comes in. Alrighty then. Okay, hold on one second. You're telling me these are all the tools you can have in this game? 2, 3, 4, 5. You're telling me there's 22 tools in this game right now? What are these things? There's different shurikens? Shuriken? What the fuck? Okay, so I'm guessing if I do that sheet, it just does more freaking damage. Ooh, I get a thing added to it? Spinning shuriken throw charge. The rotational power of the shuriken breath throwing hits the enemy multiple times. Nah, no one said that. Oh. Oh. Dude, that's freaking sick. You like legit get like added sheet to it. I thought it just meant it did more damage, but you get like a whole sheet. That's freaking sick. Okay, so already I'm kind of feeling like getting this one because I mean holding that sheet for multiple freaking hits, that can be freaking useful.
Sculptor.
I'm no.
Rip. Huh. Dude, I just got a hella sheet. I got what? 2 freaking seeds. And some other sheet. Can I technically? Why can't you just have a freaking teleport thing right next to the freaking wall the sheets at, huh? Okay, so you told me to get all the. I totally forgot about that confetti. I gotta read it again because I don't even think I've used one yet. There's no way I'm gonna remember to freaking come back to the guy to do sheet. Wait, you don't even sell a sheet? Oh, I knew that. Okay, so what is this? This kind of sounds interesting. Okay, it says frightening to animals. Does this still serve purpose for like non-animals? Dude, I gotta come back here and oh, dude, this is actually sick. I gotta come back here and take advantage of this whole money sheet that you mentioned. Would this still like distract? What's it called? Like, am I chucking the firecrackers out, or am I just like using them in my sheet? Because I kind of buy. I got the money for it. I could buy it. Am I going to? Let me text it. I gotta use one of those things.
May the depart.
Okay. There's a lot of sheet to worry about. I still feel like I missed hella sheet. Also, Bigo, is this the merchant that you were talking about? Did I ever go in here to get whatever the frick was over here? Or is this just a freaking door to open? Or it's just absolutely nothing. Okay. I missed another one. Oh, okay. Sheet. Should I go get him now or go find him? Ha! Oh, see. Let me ask you a question. Do you like pain?
It seems Ishin's illness is indeed grave.
If your answer is no, you should probably go find him. So you're saying if I continue this, like... Ah! Dude, what the frick are you guys? Hold on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you, my guy? I got 4 flasks now? Damn, dude, those seats are freaking OP. Can you guys calm down a little bit? Okay, I strongly agree on trying to find this this homie. Where's he at again? What part was that when you said that? Like right here, right? No, probably this one, right? Can you tell me where the place is at, and I'll find it myself. Obviously, I'll find it myself. He's on the mountain before the orc boss. Orc boss, orc boss, orc boss. Okay, so that was before the valley, before the stairway. This would be the mountain before him, right? I missed a freaking version. Okay, so let me double check. Where the frick was the orc boss again? He's right there, right? So he's somewhere in between there and here. It's like a little freaking puzzle. It's kind of fun doing that. I kind of wait. Where was the orc boss? He's over there, right? How did I forget that? Oh, you just told me, yeah. Okay, just go on to the other mountain. He's on top of it. Oh, okay. Oh, 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 sweet. She was some is there. Like that. Ah! Oh! Oh! Oh, he's right here. I didn't even see him.
Where you find the departed, you'll find the memorial mob.
Oh,
Just like
I literally didn't even see him up here. I'm not gonna
Go
lie to you.
ahead, buy an offering.
Crown Bed Memorial Mob. Oh. Bro, I didn't even see him. I'm not gonna lie. So how would you...
Where you find the departed, you'll
How would you
find
even
the
find him in the
memorial
first
mob.
place?
Just like the crows.
So this is where I
Wherever
would
your
get the...
travels take
Oh,
you,
okay.
make sure you bring some offerings with you.
So how would you even get here without doing what I just did? And also, how the fuck did I not come up here already? Was this the way to get to him? Just doing that? Why didn't I do that? Wait, it's somewhere here too. Oh, I can just... Ah, okay. Didn't I come up here too? I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, this is where I skipped all the guys. No, that's a different spot. Never mind. Huh. I'm not gonna lie. Now I really want to try this. The frickin' what's it called? So I need to get some more frickin' money. And I really don't want to use my sheets. So, with that being said, you guys wouldn't mind just sacrificing some sheets. Every time I want to do that. Then you guys don't give a shit. You can just use the person's name. Oh no, I know. I want to save my purses though. Frick that. I can use that for a sheep. I'll use the frick. Obviously, I'll use the amount I'm freaking missing. How about that? I mean, these guys are just sitting here freaking dying. So I might as well just finish them off. God, my freaking time is terrible in every freaking game I play. Dude, having 4 potions right now is freaking amazing. Freaking sucking broken. Did that troll not respawn? Look that. I could just refresh this over and over again. Did I ever finish what you wanted me to do? Oh, shit. This is for the thing. I forgot.
Inosuke. Inosuke.
Yes.
Protect.
Wait. Should I say that?
Master. You here?
All right.
We're counting on you.
I'm taking a blood sample.
Bro, I totally would have never realized about this sheet. If I didn't come back here. Huh. Thanks, Bingle. I didn't even realize or remember that that chick had dragon rot.
You have the dragon rot too.
Fuck it, can I get a sample off of you two?
Someone. Anyone.
I'm here. Don't force it. You'll only
I
make
think
it
I've
worse.
heard this before.
Forget about
Yeah, because he just chose me to protect her.
my mother.
Well, shit. Freaking good thing I came back here. What the boo? I'm freaking buying this goddamn cracker. This seems like just a waste.
Don't use that
Thanks, sir.
cruelty.
Well, fuck it. Now we gotta go back and do that other sheet now. We gotta go back, talk to frickin' Emma now, and then we have to frickin' see what the frick this firecracker thing is. I hate this whole grabbing ledge frickin' bullshit, man. My fingers don't. Oh. Did I do that? Oh, shit. Alright, before we talk to Emma, let's go check out this firecracker first.
What?
Oh, yeah. Sky or flash of gunpowder in front of you. Easily frightens beasts. So I wonder what it does for humans. Oh, it said beast though. Okay, so this is good for shield people. This is good for, I guess, staggering bosses or just enemies in general, I guess. And then one-shotting dogs, if I happen to upgrade that. This flame thing is wow. That has to do something. Perfect timing. Alright, let's go try something human. I know it says animals and beasts and sheep, but let's go try it out. Because there's sparks. No, I'm not even mad about that. That's pretty fucking good. Hey, you want to get a firecracker? Damn, that beast fucking. Damn. Fuck you, beast. Alright, we're in a minute. I'm not sure that doesn't work for friggin' humans. Where the frick is the closest goddamn enemy? Oh yeah. Oh, he's over here. Hey yo, beach. Ah! It stuns him. It stuns him. I mean, that's pretty good, right? Fantastic maneuvers, Nick. 110%. I cannot get this stupid frickin' hold ledge bullcrap, bro. Frick. Firecracker, to be precise, you done goofed. Lucky they're not Zelda chickens. I didn't even play Zelda, man. Did you just choke that chicken? No. Bro, you just hold the after. Bro, I'm doing that shit. It won't freaking work. I'm freaking holding that shit. I'm pressing that shit. Oh. Wait, no. That ain't. No, wait. Wait. That didn't work before. Wait, what? Bro. Nah. Bro, I swear, I did that before. What the fucking, you know what? Nah, it's just because you're, you know what? Nah. Nah, frick that sheet. I know what I'm talking about. I was holding the, I know, yeah, nah. Frick that sheet. I was holding the. Alright, this firecracker low-key kind of OP. I like it. I like how I have 4 flasks now, dude. Sick. Wah! Alright. What the fuck's going on here? I feel like I missed more sheet to do. Oh yeah, that sheet over there. I ain't fighting those dumb fucking plebs. Unless you guys are hiding sheet behind here, huh? You guys hiding some sheet? Firecracker! This guy's oh! Firecracker's beach. Well, I could have killed you right there. Ow! Wrong button. Those guys really hate Axis. It's the rats. Oh yeah, it's the rats. I knew that. Oh, sick. Wait, does that actually mark off on my sheet? God, there's too much sheet to freaking worry about. Oh, I thought it was a list of 4 different rats. It's just one. I mean, it says rats, but the temple, short, bamboo hats, number of rats are lurking around. Last seen is a gate. Oh. Alright. Well, I mean, sheet. Freaking might as well just go back now, dude. You guys got any sheet over here? No? Okay. Those are the rats so you can just run back to the guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, Frey's right here. Duh. God, if I don't have like waypoints or some type of freaking what's it called, man, the chance of me remembering sheet is very slim. I heavily rely on freaking games that do that sheet. Okay, what the fuck kind of sheet you got from my guy?
Looks like you've caught yourself some rats.
Yes.
I knew you had a talent for killing. Wonderful.
You better give me
Here's
some
your
good sheet.
reward.
Give me a freaking seed.
this is...
The ways of the Ashina Blade. It's our school of fighting. But there are no hard and fast rules. You just win your battle.
Sick.
That alone is the most important rule of the Ashina style. I hope it can be of assistance with your rat hunting. And most of all, your own battles you've yet to fight.
Frickin' thanks, my guy. How do I activate that again?
It's our school of fighting. But there are no hard and fast.
There's too much shit to remember, my guy. I'm
win
freaking
your
having a hard
battles.
time over here.
That alone is the most important. I hope it.
Yeah, I forgot how this works. Who the fuck do I give that to? How do I forget these things? Okay, well, we gotta go back into the one guy anyways. Oh, I forgot. I never talked to the chick even though I said I was going to. Nice. Freaking ears sweating.
I'm glad you've come, Master Wolf.
Back on? No.
I've obtained one.
A blood sample. Let me see. The coloration is very similar to the sculptor's. The color is just slightly tainted. But what's this?
Do you have enough blood?
I believe so. Allow me to continue my research into the dragon rot. When we speak again, it's likely I'll have made a breakthrough. In fact, count on it. Goodbye.
Oh!
I'm glad you've come.
Oh.
I can now continue my research on the dragon rot
See.
with the blood sample you gave me. When we speak again, in
Yeah,
fact, goodbye.
Oh wait, I give it to this dude. Wait. How do you I forgot how to do the what's it called?
Oh, you may... This temple attracts a certain, and I suppose, interesting. Come back whenever you like. If you have techniques
Didn't I get
to
one of
try,
those scrolls before?
I'm at your disposal.
What do I do with this scroll? I forgot. Don't I give this to somebody? Or use this sheet? How the frick do I use this sheet? Grants the ability to learn the... Oh! It's... Oh, wait. Never mind. Don't answer that. I'm fucking dumb. It unlocks... Oh. Oh! That's for a whole freaking tree? Oh! I freaking knew that. Oh. Oh. Performs a heavy overhead strike. Is that what I have right now? What's the sheet I have right now? This one's leaping. Gather strength and release a fully powered overhead strike. Recovers posture when stepping in. I mean... That kind of sounds cool. I kind of like the whole movement with what I have right now. But then again, I gotta use my sheet because I freaking die a lot. So fuck it, run this sheet. Okay, might as well check what these are now. Okay, so these are all passives. For a few seconds after deflection, increase damage to enemies' posture from all sources. That's kind of OP. And increase the damage affecting the posture upon performing a successful deflection. So, that's kind of freaking sick. Can I do any of this shit right now? Just make sure. Man, I can see right there. It freaking says I can't. That's the wrong button. Oh, ha! Probably should have cooked it. Okay, so it's the same thing as the... Huh. I mean... That's kind of sick. I kind of look forward to the movement in the other one, though. Fuck it, we'll give it a shot. Okay, is there anything else I need to do now? I got the freaking arm thing. I got this sheet. I think we're freaking Gucci. But we have one more thing that I need to get in the habit of doing. I feel like every time I have above like 150 coins, I should freaking do this. And that is buying freaking purses. I feel like this might be the freaking closest one to a freaking teleport thing.
May the departed.
That's gonna hurt. Never mind. Oops. Alright, that was a lot of stuff we had to do right there. I'm kind of perplexed, but freaking let's go. Watch like 7,000 times already. Okay, who have I killed already? Okay, I've killed the rats. I can kill them again. Okay, so that sheet's useless over there. Now we can get and dibble dabble in here. And I'm going straight up for a freaking killer here. Ah! I still got it. Sick. There's a freaking dog right there. Okay, that worked out beautifully for that. Probably should have killed you when you're freaking stunned. Okay, I already see I'm already used to it. I think I like the movement better than another one. Damn, that does a lot of damage though. Yeah, I feel like I might oh come on, my god, get hard. I feel like I like the movement of the other one, but then again I like the heavy attack on this one. That's the wrong button. That is not the right button. I'm getting a heavy attack in your ass. Yeah! Oh yeah, baby. What's up here? I don't think I remember. Never mind. What the frick is that? Yeah, that's a freaking battering ram. Well, that's a big ass enemy. It's gonna be a big ass enemy. There's no shot. It was this guy. There's no freaking shot. It was you. Well, you're freaking dead. So. Oh ha ha, hiding, huh? Think I'd go for that guy and forget about you, huh? Okay, either way I can kill when you guys are free. Then again I might scuff this up, but we're gonna find out. Yeah! Yeah! There's a lot of homies over here. Oh boy. Nice little reset to understand everything that's going on. Let's double check where we're at. Alright, nice little reset. Like that sheet. Okay, so I can easily freaking kill this dumb beach. If I can get my ass up here. Because now you're gonna think that, oh no, where'd he go? Yeah! See if I freaking chump can go up here. Freaking jump on this. Do some shit over here, right? This dumb beach doesn't know what's going on, so I can go like this. Go behind him. Yeah, yeah! Kill his dumb shit. Then this guy is like, oh no, let me go help. And then you're gonna freaking. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, wow, you don't give a shit. Shit, you're freaking dead. Okay, I prefer not to die if you don't mind. I want to save my freaking potions, considering I only have. Still, I feel like I have not a lot. Time is by the way. Damn, it's almost 8 o'clock right now. Ooh, I need that sheet. Oh, I think that was the last one I needed too. I'm actually kind of surprised I got that, considering how much sheet. I still don't like it. Alright, survey the area. Did I miss anything? I feel like I didn't. Also, frick out. I'm gonna use the frickin' potion.
We're really planning to use that thing? In the battle. I know. But what choice do we have? Desperate times call for desperate measures. We're in no position to worry about what others might think. Yes, but... Hey, keep it together, soldier. Keep talking like that, and they'll put you on its detail. And when it's mad, it doesn't discriminate between friends
when
and foes.
it's mad. I was about to say, there's no way you can hear me. I should time that quickly. Pretty sure this is a bait. It's not a bait. I need you to die very, very quickly, sir. I need you both to die very, very quickly. Oh my. I see why you wanted me to have the firecracker now. This guy's a beast. I see why you wanted me to have the firecracker. I did not time that very well. That's freaking OP as shit. I'm just like not giving shit. I'm just freaking going in and getting freaking one tap. Jesus Christ, my guy. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. Jesus Christ. Oh, I forgot that takes 2. Okay, well there goes my chances. Jesus Christ. Ah! I'm surprised I can't. Oh. I'm surprised I can't, what's it called? Use my grappling hook thing on this guy. Considering he has things I can probably hook to. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. That guy just sucks. Wow, nice job, Nick. Alright, question. Can I, if I go in here, is everything else just say frick you, pretty much? If I activate these guys. Oh, you guys die because that? Oh. Oh. I agree. Suck. Yeah. I'm not a very big fan of this guy. I got trapped in the corner. I'm pretty sure he didn't do a frickin'. Ah! Frick you, beach. Definitely a delay on that. Oh, that's the move. I agree on him being easy, but Jesus Christ, he's just all around the place. I don't know what the frick is happening. Oh, I forgot I have my thingamabob. Oh yeah. So there's a slight delay I've noticed that I should take into consideration. Ow. That guy really has bad aim. Thank you. Come again. Thank you. Come again. Thank you. Come again. Oh, I thought you went for them first. Okay, confirm you don't. Alright. That was kind of terrible. I don't know if I like this guy very much. This guy's a fucking sheep. That's the wrong button, Nick. I forgot my combination here. Still not very good at that. I don't know what's happening. I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what's happening. All I know is that he's spamming you. That's all I can freaking see. Okay. This guy freaking sucks. I think I missed like 2 deaths. I freaking hate this guy. What the fruit? Oh, he does freaking spam sheep. Ow. Where's the fun in that? What the frick did that do? What, did that troll even give me any money? What fucking worth this speech? I wanted to use my fucking potion. All this guy does is just freaking charge freaking millisecond. Still don't know what's happening. Ow. Dude, this guy freaking sucks. freaking suck. I'd appreciate it if I wouldn't get caught in the corner. If you don't mind getting them fucked up. That's the wrong button. No, it's not. This is not good. No, it's not. Oh, that's the wrong button. Okay. Bro, this guy's first. That guy's just straight up annoying. Is he a freaking memory guy? Or where the frick it's called? Oh, sick. A Morsi? Oh, sick. Okay, that guy wasn't. Okay. But that guy was freaking stupid. Ah, find more people? Such a. The enemy's still alive. Oh, sick. I was like, give me 1 second, man. Okay, I think we're gonna end it here for. Oh, actually, let me get my sheet first. This. Yeah. Yeah, we've gotten a shitload of freaking. Upgrades this stream, I'll tell you that much. Actually, no, fricker, we're gonna talk to her.
Thank heavens. Thank heavens.
For what do you pray?
Oh, you there. Have you heard of the Senpo Temple? The Senpo Temple on Mount Kongo. A very special holy person lives in that place. Go on. Join me in prayer. Thank heavens. Thank heavens.
Alright. Oh, just one-time entrance. Alright, I'm gonna leave you guys on the cliffhanger and then leave her here. So I need to go over there. I don't know if that's wow. That looks like fun. Alright. I see why you want me to get the firecracker now. Low key, I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna go with this one still because I like the freaking movement. Also, we have a freaking thing that we should probably go check out. I guess I can check it out right here because freaking just access, right? Okay, now what the frick did I unlock? I unlocked some healing sheet. The frick was that under? Okay, I unlocked these two things. 4 and 5? Do you know how long it's gonna take me to get that sheet? A long time. I still feel like I was off deaths because you know me, I'm not